Hi everyone, welcome to Exercise Week. This is going to be a fun, interactive week because as organisms, we are meant to move. In fact, the very thing that separates us from plants, which is movement, also completely changed our physiology. So as much as food is important to us as a species, movement may be as much or more important. Our very survival rested on the concept of moving to get away from prey and also to forage for food. Migration was also forced upon us because of seasonal changes and catastrophic climatic changes, which forced large populations to move entire continents. We have to move, and because of this necessity, our bodies have developed mechanisms to both adapt and harness this movement. There are clues to this everywhere in our body. Let's start with our skeletal system. It was designed to withstand a great deal of stress, and most of that stress was related to movement. That is why humans have a thick skeleton that serves to support us while we move. Moving this heavy skeleton requires lots of energy, but this investment that allowed us to get around also paid off in that it allowed us to access more food, shelter, and of course, partners. So the investment in heavy structural system served one major function, which is to move as much as possible. In fact, as we stop moving or even reduce the amount of movement, our entire skeletal system changes. Our bones start to demineralize and lose calcium and phosphorus and significant density. By contrast, when we start moving, we gain density and start remineralizing. Our vascular system is even more telling of our need for movement. For one thing, though we all know the function of the heart is to pump blood throughout the body, what people may not know is that we have a second pump in our body. That pump resides in our legs. In fact, it is the legs and its musculature, and it is sometimes called the peripheral heart. You see, the blood from the legs gets pumped back to the heart through the veins. This system relies on muscles of the legs to squeeze the veins and not through some actions of the veins themselves. The veins have one-way valves, which trap the blood above it. So basically, these valves are one-directional systems. The blood can only go in one direction, towards the heart. Thus, as we move, the muscles of the legs squeeze the blood up. But of course, there's more to it. But this assist from the legs help quite a bit. In fact, those who don't move have a higher chance of blood stagnation and blood clots forming in their legs. And that is why they tell you to move every few hours whenever you have to sit in an airplane for long periods of time. Our nervous system gives us the greatest clues. As important as our musculature and skeletal systems are, our nervous system is the most important, and it is affected by our movement in a profound way. The nervous system allows us to interact with our world and also perceive and adapt to our environment in real time. But the real reason I think it is so important might be because we might be a bit biased, being neurologists. But there's also much data that lack of movement has been associated with loss of neuronal connections and neuronal density and brain size. Several studies have demonstrated this very well. People who are less active and sedentary have higher risk of developing mild cognitive impairment or MCI. And on the contrary, higher physical activity and less sedentary behavior is associated with better cognitive performance. Human history is our best window into this. The world's longest living people live in environments that constantly nudge them into moving without thinking about it. This also has repercussions on cognition, as those who are not stimulated through movement actually have shrinkage of their brains. Therefore, movement is central to our brain health, especially if it is significant and consistent. See you in the next video.